From now until early Wednesday morning, when they enter their Apollo 11 spacecraft, Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin, and Michael Collins are supposed to take it easy. Of the thousands involved in the mission and the millions who will watch it, the three astronauts are probably the most composed, perhaps even relaxed. For a report on today's activities and a preview of the flight that will fulfill President Kennedy's pledge to land men on the moon and return in this decade of the 60s, here is ABC science editor Jules Bergman at Cape Kennedy.
Cape Kennedy, less than 40 hours away from the greatest adventure in the history of mankind. Less than 40 hours away from the moment when the huge Saturn V moon rocket thunders into life to begin its mission of putting 2 Americans on the moon. We're 18,000 feet away from Pad 39A, where Apollo 11 sits atop the Saturn V, almost ready for liftoff. Early Wednesday morning, astronauts Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Mike Collins will walk those last few feet across Swing Arm 9, the steel catwalk leading into the White Room and the hatch of Apollo 11. Their epic journey will begin with the earth-shaking roar of the Saturn V, and its 7.5 million pounds of brute power overcome gravity and hurl the 50 tons of Apollo spacecraft, lunar module, and men into Earth orbit. 3 hours later, the third stage rocket fires a second time, the burn that 3 days later will send Apollo 11 around the moon. After checking out Eagle, the lunar module, Armstrong and Aldrin separate from Columbia, the Apollo mothership. The real difference begins at 50,000 feet over the moon when the engine of the lunar module, Eagle, fires a second time, and they descend toward landing site 2 on the lunar equator in the Sea of Tranquility. 40,000 feet over the moon, they roll Eagle over so its landing radar can get a lock on the moon's surface. The radar has to see it to give them their altitude and rate of descent toward landing, or there can be no landing. 13,000 feet, a critical go, no-go. The radar and their computer must closely agree, or their orders are to abort and not attempt a landing. 5 miles from touchdown, Armstrong and Aldrin now clearly see the landing area, 2.5 minutes away from landing. Eagle has slowed to 45 miles an hour forward speed and 10 miles an hour vertical speed. Armstrong takes over manual control. 70 seconds to touchdown. 150 feet over the moon. Eagle now moving downward only at a slow 1.5 miles per hour. They have only 85 seconds of fuel to hover and maneuver with. In that brief time, they must find an acceptable landing spot or abort. And then the touchdown. After checking out Eagle in case they have to take off in a hurry, Spacecraft Commander Armstrong sets foot on the moon first, followed 20 minutes later by Aldrin. A live TV camera should show us the entire 2 hours, 40 minutes they'll spend exploring the moon. They'll gather lunar soil and rock samples in plastic bags, carefully marking and photographing each sample. Not shown in these practice sessions are the 3-by-5-foot American flag they'll plant on the moon, or the plaque on Eagle's ladder proclaiming, "We came in peace for all mankind." After 21.5 hours on the moon, Armstrong and Aldrin fire up their ascent engine and blast off to rejoin Mike Collins and the Apollo mothership orbiting overhead. Right now, we're nearing the final countdown, and all is going smoothly. The fuel cells of Apollo 11 are now being pressurized. The launch vehicle batteries loaded. Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins are resting after final rehearsals today in the simulators. The excitement here building. The crowd huge, the heat fierce. The three most relaxed, confident people here now are 3 men named Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins. This is Jules Bergman, ABC News at Cape Kennedy.
And while all continues to go well at Cape Kennedy, Lunar 15, Russia's unmanned moon rocket, continues on its course, with still no official word from Soviet scientists on its precise mission. There are reports that the Russian rocket may be carrying a detachable robot, which presumably would try to collect moon rocks and lunar dust and return to Earth with its prize cargo before Apollo 11 comes back. Lunar 15 will be in the vicinity of the moon on Wednesday, the day the American astronauts lift off from the Cape.